Today we consider how the dramatic, desperate, sudden withdrawal from Afghanistan, as well as the importance of gold and geography, will help to facilitate a new global order. So let's dive on in. Now, this channel provides global macro insights and champions the importance of sound money in a world gone crazy. So please do consider subscribing. And so in the 20 years since September 11th, 2001, the United States has spent more than $2 trillion on the war in Afghanistan. That's $300 million per day, every day for 2 decades, or $50,000 for each of Afghanistan's 40 million people. While there have been 2,500 US military deaths in Afghanistan and nearly 4,000 more US civilian contractors who have been killed over that period. That pales, however, beside the estimated 69,000 Afghan military police, 47,000 civilians killed, plus 51,000 dead opposition fighters. While the cost so far to care for 20,000 US casualties has been $300 billion, with another $500 billion or so expected to come in future years. The costs truly have been grave. But if we just consider the geographical importance of Afghanistan, because back in 1904, Halford Mackinder submitted an article to the Royal Geographic Society outlining his Heartland Theory. Essentially, this advocated the notion of a world island which comprised of Europe, Africa and Asia, an area consisting of around half the world's resources. Now, the theory also outlines Mackinder's offshore islands, which consisted on one side Japan and the British Isles to the west, and as well as the outlying islands, which were the continents of North and South America, as well as Oceania. Mackinder summarised his theory as followed by stating, "Who rules East Europe commands the heartland. Who rules the heartland commands the world island. Who rules the world island commands the world." And so there really are some key points worth noting about what the latest developments mean for the future and for the changing global world order. As the fall of Kabul has now clearly given rise to the fears that Afghanistan will come under the influence of China. And we know that Taliban representatives have long been having meetings with Chinese officials since as long ago as July. And so the withdrawal from Afghanistan is certainly to the benefit of China, is clearly a foreseeable consequence here. And since the Taliban's takeover, Beijing has its eyes firmly set on Afghanistan's rare earth materials, which are all critical, of course, for the West's supposed green revolution. So none of this is a surprise for the Biden administration. It's allowing China to continue to make enormous strategic gains across the Middle East, which is furthered by the prospect of Iran potentially joining the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or the SCO, with its membership application now down to formalities. And this, of course, fits perfectly with China's vast Belt and Road Initiative, which will connect Asia, Europe and Africa. As Mackinder said, "Who rules the world island commands the world." And given Iran's geographically important location, it is essential for China to have Iran firmly on board. Thus, the China-Russia-Iran axis is of enormous importance, as it determines this entire pivot area within this strategically important geography. But in addition, by developing and fostering a relationship with the Taliban, it seems China can mine the vast mineral wealth of Afghanistan. Furthermore, China's positive relationship with Pakistan is an integral part of the road and port network that they are developing, and is often seen and cited as a more positive example of Beijing's foreign policy approach when compared to the military presence and the Western presence formerly within Pakistan. And so formulating a relationship with the Taliban will allow China to connect their infrastructure and trade routes across the nation to connect different elements of the Belt and Road. Meanwhile, Russia's presence within the heart of the world island and as a key ally to China ensures that the two countries who are at the very heart of the world island have enormous geographical advantages over the Western world. This is clearly a changing of the global order, particularly when you consider the gold reserves held by each of these nations. And yes, as Jim Rickards has pointed out here, that Russia have been in the market once again, taking advantage of the softening of the gold price in recent weeks by adding more gold to their reserves, courtesy of their Strategic Wealth Fund and the use of the IMF's funny money SDRs. Meanwhile, we are fed the Build Back Better nonsense that will facilitate further fiscal deterioration in the West, which is likely to be absent of any true stimulative effect. It is no wonder we now see Britain, America and Australia puffing out their chest with a newfound Indo-Pacific alliance. Yet for what good? Because ultimately it seems that China and Russia are setting themselves up to truly prosper, while the West only seeks to control, surveil and Sovietize. Consider how China is adopting a CBDC, which enables its banking sector to generate economic growth, while our policymakers seem set to stall our economies and destroy what little remains of our banking sectors via the introduction of their surveillance digital currencies. Consequently, the prospects for real prosperity seem to very much lie eastwards. And as has been said before, that it was much desired that China be brought into the new global order, as we can hear in this clip.
So I think you need a new world order, that China has to be part of the process of creating it, and they have to buy in, they have to own it, the same way as, let's say, the United States owns the Washington Consensus, the current order. And I think this would be a more stable one, where you would have a coordinated policies. I think the makings of it are already there, because the G20, in agreeing to peer reviews, effectively is moving in that direction.
But it is also fascinating to consider how a ragtag group of goat herders with AK-47s can topple the military of a global superpower. There are clear lessons here as we face the prospect of outright totalitarianism. Thanks so much for watching. Do consider subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye bye.